Similar to the IT services that are provided to a business, malware as a service is a prosperous model run on the darknet. It offers an array of services, and it isn't just limited to malware or bits of code. You don't have to be a computer expert. Anyone can purchase code that will cause harm or hold another system up for ransom. Malware services can be offered for as little as $200, with a service level agreement and replacement warranty if the creation is detected within 9 months. How is it possible for malware to stay undetected for such a long period? The malware has a strong self-defense mechanism built in. It can be very aggressive when it comes to protecting itself from being reverse engineered. When malware lands on a PC, it will perform a series of checks to make sure that the system is compliant. If all goes well, it continues to decrypt and unpack the rest of its modules and check if the location is as expected. It will then compute a hash of the system, and if values do not match, reverse the process, encrypt and wipe the victim's data. If values do match, spy code will be injected into the web browser. Data will then be intercepted and sent to the command and control machine. Turning our attention to the mobile sector, threat reports show that viruses and other forms of malware targeting mobile devices are on the rise. Cybercriminals are continuously looking for ways to exploit vulnerabilities, trying to capitalize on security flaws before manufacturers find and patch them. They primarily target user data, from credit card credentials to email passwords and contact lists. Though some mobile malware is pre-installed on phones by manufacturers, most of it arrives on devices via apps, particularly apps that are side-loaded into devices or downloaded via third-party app stores. The majority of the high-risk apps found in the wild are hosted on malicious domains, 80%, but apps are also finding their way to legitimate app stores, 27%. Let's look at 3 types of attacks. First, fake apps. A lot of them have intrusive ads that pop up and are constantly trying to get you to enter your personal information. 2. Mobile malware can exploit the phone in order to bypass two-factor authentication or attempt to break into applications. 3. Mobile enrollment process abuse. In order to access an online bank account, a user might need to use a mobile app and register his device. Fraudsters may abuse the process flow and register their own device instead. Have you played Angry Birds or Pokémon Go on the phone? Beware! Fake apps disguised as popular games are constantly emerging in official and third-party app stores. How does it work? For example, a legitimate developer creates a game called Monkey Jump and uploads it to the Apple Store. The malicious developer downloads the popular legitimate game. It then creates a malicious app, extracts the malicious payload, and repacks the game with the malware. The hacker uploads the game to the third-party app store. By means of social engineering, the user is advised to download the game. Once the malicious game is installed, the fraudster can control the phone remotely and access private information or other websites in order to generate revenue for the attacker. Some other examples include fake token generator or payment system that steal bank passwords and send user and device information to a remote server. Cybercriminals are selling short message spamming services that range to hundreds of dollars and thousands of messages like this one. The most complex attacks are combining different channels and are referred to as cross-platform attacks. Let's discover the steps together. A PC is infected by a phishing email. The cybercriminal captures or steals information about the victim and acquires the mobile phone number. The hacker then sends an SMS with a link to a fake website spoofing the sender. Without knowing, the user follows steps and installs a Trojan on his mobile phone. Once the phone is infected, it starts to send information to the attacker. He can then intercept codes that are required to make fund transfers or other valuable data. The channels of interaction between the bank and the customer are compromised. Do you know what farming represents? It's a scamming practice, misdirecting users to a fraudulent website without their knowledge or consent. Farming stems from an older attack called DNS cache poisoning, in which an attack is made against the internet naming system. The rules of how internet traffic flows are changed. In other words, rather than navigating to your bank's page, you are directed to a fake, malicious website that infects your personal computer. What happens after your PC is compromised? Most likely, you're joining the zombies club. Your machine will start performing activities without you being aware of. For example, flooding a legitimate service with a crushing volume of traffic. This is referred to as denial of service or DOS attack. A command and control server is the centralized computer that issues commands to botnets, the zombie army, and receives reports back from the co-opted computers. Cybercriminals make money from their botnets in several ways. They may use the botnets themselves to send spam. They may also collect information from the infected machines and use it to steal identities, demand ransom to prevent or stop an ongoing DOS attack. Cybercriminals may also lease their botnets to other criminals. Let's discover together what an advanced persistent threat represents. APTs are a cybercrime category directed at business and political targets that span over a prolonged duration. The attack objectives extend beyond immediate financial gain. The compromised systems continue to be off service even after key systems have been breached and initial goals reached. It starts with gathering intelligence, infiltrating the network using exploitation tools, establishing multiple command and control channels, and extracting the data. Advanced persistent threats use multiple methods to infiltrate into a network, avoid detection, and harvest valuable information over the long term. APT attackers leverage public information to understand the target. They often use spear phishing to gain access to the network through legitimate means. Once in, the attackers avoid detection and map the organization's defenses from the inside. This way, they can create a battle plan and deploy multiple strategies to ensure success. The next step is to gather valid user credentials, especially administrative ones, and move laterally across the network, installing backdoors. Attackers capture information over an extended period of time and extract it for analysis and exploitation. Are you curious about one of the greatest heists of the century? Carbanak cyber gang managed to steal an astonishing amount of $1 billion. They started by sending mails with malicious attachments, pretending to be from one of the institutions that the bank had relationships with. They were infecting plenty machines in search of administrators with active directory access. Once they got the domain controllers, they were on the hunt for those who had access to operational systems for payments and payment engines. Crooks were spying by watching cameras and keystrokes, later executing payments themselves. They were transferring money to money mule networks or to banks in China and in the US. Some account balances have been inflated, the extra funds pocketed via fraudulent transactions. They also infected ATMs, which allowed them to open cash dispensers. Again, money mules collected the funds. Malware targeting the finance industry continues to evolve. The Carbanak campaign is a clear indicator of a new and disturbing trend in the cybercrime market and increasing attack sophistication. This concludes the chapter devoted to exploring fraud techniques. Learn more today. Visit VASCO.com.